Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Candy Corn Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Ozenbach, joined by my partner, as always, Dylan Miller. And today we kind of have a little fun episode. We're going to be going over, if you can see by my shared screen, my ESPN Fantasy Baseball Championship team, how I drafted, why I drafted, my draft strategy, and my in-season strategy. And we will also be going over what is going on in the league right now. What does the playoff picture look like? Shout out to our Philadelphia Phillies. We'll talk about them later. But yeah, Dylan, anything you want to add?
Go Phils. Just want everyone to know I got absolutely cooked in this fantasy league.
Hang on, I could bring up the stats if you guys want to see. 4-18 this year, Dylan,
Yep,
with a 182 winning percentage.
yep. Shout out Canicorn groupies.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Canicorn Groupies. Shout out to Kirby Sneed. I don't know if you can, I don't think it shows up on here.
Oh
My
yeah, it
team
does.
name. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
it
got a
does. Right
team.
there, baby. Kirby Sneed Cy Young. Shout out to Kirby Sneed. I know he's not listening to the podcast. I wish he was. I love you, Kirby Sneed. We won. I won 200 beans, I think. But so no, going into the draft, I had one of my friends from Penn State Schuylkill baseball tell me that I should not draft pitchers, starting pitchers. And at first, I was like, "That's stupid. That's ridiculous." Dylan's dog giving his input in the background. Then I looked into it, and I found out that, for example, the fourth best pitcher in fantasy baseball this year was Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo, over the course of the whole season, put up 453 fantasy points. Taylor Ward, who is the 11th ranked outfielder, so probably playing in most leagues, but not a cream of the crop guy, put up 492, which is 40 points more than arguably one of the best pitchers this year. So that taken into account, I stayed away from starting pitchers until I could find sort of a secure-ish ace, and I went totally based off of matchup as the season progressed. So I kept probably the same three starting pitchers on my lineup over the course of the whole season, and then I would rotate pitchers in and out based off of who was playing the White Sox, who was playing the Athletics, who was playing the Angels, your bad teams, because they were more guaranteed to have a better game. That being said, we will go into round one where I drafted Shohei Ohtani ninth. A lot of you know the season that Shohei had, and you're like, how the hell did Shohei Ohtani drop to spot number 9? He's not pitching this year. He's coming off of a injury that usually hinders baseball players. And so most people, myself included, were like, I don't know if this is a good draft pick. So round one, I got lucky. Shohei had an incredible season. Then we come over to round two. Round two is really funny because Corbin Carroll got drafted before Aaron Judge. No, he was rookie of the year last year. Great player. Has never in his life ever been better than Aaron Judge. Judge has the injury history. I think that bumps him down a little bit. I don't know what you think, Dylan.
Yeah, I do think Judge coming off that season where he was injured for a large majority of it is what made him fall that low. Um, in hindsight, everyone should have known better. I mean, he's Aaron Judge, but
Yeah, yeah. And then so round three of the championship team, I went with Corey Seager, which was a risky one for me. I wanted to go Bryce Harper. Deep down inside my heart, I wanted to go Bryce Harper, but it was the first season with him playing first base full time. I got a little nervous. I was like, you know what? Seager had such a crazy run at the end of last year. If he stays healthy, it'll be fine. Corey Seager did not stay healthy. He was healthy a majority of the season, just not like a vast majority. So that kind of stunk. And then round four, we picked Dylan's favorite player, Pete Alonso, who, as I should be, I should have went with Harper. I should have went with Harper. I think Alonso was probably my worst pick early in this draft. He did not pan out, and honestly, at this point, I was just nervous I wouldn't really find a first baseman, which was maybe a little ridiculous. It's a pretty deep position, but little panic pick there. We go down to round five. Schwarber, that was a good pick. He ended up being, I can tell you guys in a second where he ranked out. He was the fourth best fantasy outfielder this year. He did have a good season. And then we finally pick my first pitcher in round six, Mr. Logan Gilbert. He stayed on the whole season. He did not fall to waivers at any point for me. He had a good year. I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but he was really solid. Round seven, and this was my steal of the draft, was William Contreras. And the reason I picked William Contreras is because we had a talk. We had a ranking each position by their or ranking each player for each position. And I brought up Contreras because he had such a good batting average last year and he hit really well. And I was like, man, round 7, I'll take a little William Contreras in my life. Another important thing to note is that when you draft your catcher, make sure he's a designated hitter as well, because catchers take the most time off of any player. William Contreras' days off, he still hits, and hitting is actually the only thing that counts for fantasy baseball. So that led him to put up a lot more points, and he was the number 1 catcher in fantasy baseball this year. Now we go into kind of my shit show of where I drafted during a baseball practice, so I didn't really have a lot of time here. But I think I auto drafted Alexis Diaz. Not great for me. Then I checked in. I was like, oh, I don't have like a second baseman. Gleyber Torres, he was off the team. Ha-Seong Kim hung around for a while because he could play a lot of different positions. Second, third, shortstop. He's listed as all of those. So he ended up being pretty solid for me until he got hurt at the end of the year. Christian Yelich. Always hurt. Christian Yelich lasted a damn good part of this season in which he hit over 300 and had a really, really, really good home run gig. Like he was playing Christian Yelich baseball until he got hurt. So for a round 11 pick, I think that was a really great investment for me. Jose Barrios, he hung around for a while this year. He got dropped during his slump, and then I picked him back up at the end during the playoffs where he went on a crazy run. I think he was a pretty solid pick. ESPN said that he was my steal of the draft, but seeing as he wasn't on the team for like a month, I don't really see how that's possible. Shane Bieber, I'm so mad that didn't work out. We're gonna skip Munoz because I didn't keep him, but Bieber had such a hot start, dude. I was so excited that I had him on my team, and then he just died. So maybe next year, Shane Bieber. And I think at the end of it here, that's about all of the important picks. Gimenez was actually on my team for a while. He had a stretch. And I think that's about it that stayed on the. Oh, and Taylor Ward, there he is, the dog himself. Taylor Ward always has a really good start to the season, and so in my head, I was gonna pick Taylor Ward up, and then I would trade maybe at some point for a guy who has a good back end of the year, which worked out for me because Nick Castellanos had such a bad start to the season that I think it was Ashley dropped him to waivers, and I picked him up right when he got hot and immediately swapped him and Taylor Ward out. When Taylor Ward got bad, Castellanos came in, started playing his butt off. But that's not really the most important thing that I did here. It was the fact that I got Shota Imanaga off waivers right after the draft. Nobody drafted him. Not as many people knew about him. Yamamoto was the whole, oh my gosh, this guy is going to be so good. Took all the attention away. And then I picked up Imanaga, dog. But yeah, that was my my draft.
Yeah, drafting masterclass by Chris. I don't know if you've been keeping up with. If you could see the team Ozuna from the Braves, that was my team. Who, at the time on paper, I thought this was a damn good team.
No, you drafted well.
I just had a lot of injuries happen.
Fernando in round 3 was questionable.
Yeah, I thought he was going to put up an MVP caliber season. I mean, you see, Lou Bob played for the White Sox, so that pretty much explains itself.
Yeah.
Gunnar.
Hey, George Kirby wound up on my team at some point, I think, this year.
Yeah, I dropped him. Gunnar, started super hot. Was looking well.
Yeah. You had great picks. Honestly, I think after we drafted, I was a little jealous. I was like, damn, Dylan's got a team. Or like Luis Robert Jr. I did not predict him to just be terrible. Like he was awful. I will say that I don't normally draft center fielders in general because they're normally not the offensive powerhouses that the right and left fielders are. But
yeah, and there's my dud, Spencer Torkelson. Spent half of the season in AAA.
There he is. That's that's a tough one. I feel bad. Did anyone draft? I wonder if anyone drafted who's the guy Jackson, the Orioles.
Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody drafted him. That'd be really funny because he was supposed to get called up right away and he just didn't, and then he was terrible. I don't think anyone did. We were smart. But no, so the main point in all of this is that pitchers, specifically starting pitchers, are so expendable in fantasy baseball. All you need to do is look for matchups. All it is like once a week I'd go through and I'd see who's playing who, and then I would say, okay, I like this starting pitcher matchup. And you just put it basically if you're playing the White Sox, you're pitching for me that week, as long as they weren't on somebody else's roster. After Mike Trout got hurt, they're pitching for me when they play the Angels that week. And that's what carried me to 19-3. Ironically, two of my losses this year came to Randy, who was 9-13. He had a losing record. I don't understand. It was like only, and it's not like he had a bunch of points scored and then just like got a bunch put against him. Like he didn't even score a lot of points, just only against me. I don't understand what happened.
Everyone's
But
got that one nemesis.
yeah, so I'm like the Marlins, or he was like the Marlins to my Phillies last year.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it was a good fantasy baseball season. We're on to fantasy football. So best of luck to all of our guys who are in that. Hopefully some of them are listening. Hopefully if we have a little bit of viewer base from our thing. Shout out to oh man, D-Bar for meeting me in the final there. He gave me a run for it. He scared me for a little bit, but the fellas pulled through. He almost ruined it by throwing too many starting pitchers out the gate. But yeah, no, it was a fun season. I recommend fantasy baseball for people trying to get into baseball because you learn all the names, and with the constant in and out and checking up on the stuff, you really do. It's a great way to get into the sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that'll be it as far as our fantasy baseball talks go. Can I please stop sharing my screen? There we go. I think it went away.
Yeah, you're all good.
Alrighty, we're gonna talk about the MLB right now. What's going
Yeah.
on? Regular season winding down. The playoffs are on the way. Dylan, take her away.
Yeah, so this weekend is actually the last of the MLB regular season. So each team has 2 series remaining. We're going to walk through the playoff picture as it stands right now and run through the divisions and wild card. I believe that we still have one division race that is somewhat in grasp, and the rest of them are all put to bed. So let's go through. Right now, we have in the American League, we have the Yankees slated at the number 1 seed. They haven't clinched the division yet, but they do have a 5-game lead on the Orioles with it's either 5 or 6 games remaining, depending on the team. They are playing each other right now, but basically the Orioles would have to win out and the Yankees would have to lose out.
Yeah, odds are the Yankees are going to be the AL division leader.
Yes, and then in the 2 seed, 1 game behind the Yankees are the Guardians, who have clinched the Central Division.
So sneaky over there in Cleveland.
Oh,
I feel like you don't hear anyone
absolutely.
talking about them, and they are putting together, I mean, just an outstanding season.
Yeah, it's just they're one of those teams where it's like you look at them on paper and you're like, how are they so good? But their bullpen is absolutely ridiculous, and they've got pretty good depth in the lineup overall. I mean, in our draft we were talking about Jose Ramirez, really being the shining star on that team, but he has a lot of complementary pieces that go unnoticed.
Yep.
Very different Cleveland team than what we've seen in the past.
Yes.
And in the West, at the number 3 seed, the Astros have clinched the division. They're basically going to remain the 3 seed throughout. I really don't see them being able to jump into the 2. They're 5 games back. So Cleveland would have to lose out, and Houston would have to win out in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
So that would mean that Houston is going to face the number 6 team, which, as of now, the Tigers,
that's right there.
Tigers and the Royals are both tied Royals
I
finally got in the win column. They lost
yeah.
7 in a
I was
row.
gonna say the Royals really fell apart the last week or two.
Yeah, and the Tigers have been on the complete opposite page. This team is extremely hot. I got to see them play the Orioles on Saturday, and just this Tigers team is special.
You seen the Tigers' run differential? It's only
Plus
plus.
38.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I mean, they really rely on pitching, and then just offense scraps together what they can, and pitching holds them in it.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, as we mentioned before, the Orioles, they have clinched the playoffs as of last night on Tuesday. Um, they're basically guaranteed to be the 4 seed, so they will host whoever finishes in the 5 seed.
Right.
And then outside looking in, we do have the Twins and the Mariners both at 2 games back. I really don't know if either of these teams can make the push.
If
Twins are just
anyone can, I think the Mariners have the better chance.
Yeah, over the Twins. Twins 3-7 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
They've just been on a downward spiral. Um,
Yeah. The only reason I say that the Royals have been trending down, the Mariners have been trending up. So I mean, maybe they swing, but I can't really see anything else happening there.
yeah, I mean technically Boston's 3.5 outs, so they're not
Yeah.
completely dead. But
Unlikely, but they're there.
I don't see that happening.
Red Sox are one of those teams that's probably a lot better than they show on paper, but when you have to go against the Yankees and the Orioles more than any other team, it doesn't look
Yeah,
too great.
yeah. Let's jump over to the West, and I'm going to start the National League, and I'm going to start in the West where we have our lone division race that is still open.
Yeah.
The Dodgers and Padres are separated by 2 games. Padres won 5 in a row. They're 9-1 over their last 10, and they still have 2 games against the Dodgers to wrap this series. They won last night, which cut the lead from 3 to 2 games. So if the Padres can sweep, they'll be tied with the Dodgers, and they hold the tiebreaker over the Dodgers.
Yeah, and this sounds insane, but if I was the Padres with how hot I am right now, I don't even think I'd want to be the and I just want to keep the hot streak going. Like win the
Yeah,
wild card.
yeah. In the long run, I think that does make the most sense. Being that they would either play the Diamondbacks or the Mets, both of which teams lost yesterday. Um, but I don't. There's just something sexy about looking at what the Dodgers did this offseason. Everyone's saying about how much of a juggernaut they're going to be, and then being like, "Yeah, we took the division from you guys.
Yeah,
What's up?"
yeah, absolutely. I agree. Shout out to the Pod. I was low on the Padres this year. I did not think they were going to be good. I thought that with everything going on, because then they have a huge front office blow up or something this year at the beginning.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was misleading. I think.
Yeah,
Their old owner did die, who
yeah,
he put all of his effort into trying to make sure the team stayed competitive, and there was a lot of doubt in the new ownership that they would
yeah.
follow that through. But let's swing over to the wild card standings. As of right now, the Dodgers hold a half of a game lead over the Phillies for the top spot.
Yes.
Um, as we mentioned, Dodgers have clinched, but the division is not under wraps yet. However, Philly has clinched the division, first time in 13 years. Let's go.
Shout out to Phils.
Um, they have a 3 game lead, or 2.5 game lead over Milwaukee, who also clinched for the number 2 seed. So I think they're sitting pretty comfortably um, in
Shout out
terms of.
Milwaukee. Shout out to the Milwaukee Brewers for putting together a 90-win season. How about that? I did not expect. I thought they were going to be decent. I did not expect them to be a 90-win team.
No, that, and just as I mentioned, this is not the Cleveland team we've seen in the past. This is far, from the Brewers team we've seen in the past. Brewers teams we've seen in the past have been all about pitching, and they're going to nickel and dime you to death on offense. But this has been a complete 180. I mean, their bullpen is still great. However, the starting pitching is their biggest question mark. And this lineup, you've got guys like William Contreras, you've got guys like Christian Yelich and Willie Adames. Jackson Churrio's really come into his own. Bryce Terang. I mean, you could just go up and down in this lineup, and you got guys who are going to perform.
They're brewing something up over there in Milwaukee.
But I really don't see them overtaking the Phillies for the number 2 seed. I think that they're going to go in and play whoever the 6th seed is. Before that, we'll touch on the Padres again real quick. They do have a 4.5 game lead, so they did clinch a postseason berth. It's just a matter of whether they're going to be the 4th seed or play their way into a potential 2 seed. They do have a better record than the Brewers. I do want to note by 1 game. So realistically, they could end up being the 2 seed. But for right now, they're the 4. The Mets and the Diamondbacks are very interesting. The Mets have been the hottest team over the last 100 games. They have basically since June just kicked it into gear. And it pains me to say that. I hate the Mets. But they're here, and nobody expected it.
I even at the beginning of the season, I mean, we thought this was going to be a dumpster fire of a season for them. We were talking about the Nationals might have a better record than the Mets at the end of the season. And, I mean, all the credit to them. The beginning of the season, it looked like it was going to go exactly the way that we thought. And then they just miracle turned it around.
Yeah. So they are tied with the Diamondbacks, who they're so hot and cold. They came out of the All-Star break insanely hot, and then just kind of cooled off as of late. Dropped 3 in a row, 5-5 over their last 10. I mean, this is a team that won the National League pennant last year as a 6th seed, and that's where they're lined up to be again. But I don't know. It's hard to say because there is one more team in the hunt, half a game back, and that's the Braves, who have won 3 in a row and are currently playing the Mets. They won last night. If they win tonight, they officially take back that wild card spot from the Mets.
Yeah.
And if they sweep, it's like, is the season over?
Yeah.
For the Mets?
I guess.
I mean, Chris Sale's pitching tonight. Let's see it. Is the game going? Do we have a live score update for that?
I have no idea. How many games are left?
So 5 including tonight. I'm not sure who Atlanta finishes out the season against. But the Mets finish out against Milwaukee, which is interesting because if Milwaukee's trying to jump
the Braves play them. Yeah.
Do the Braves play the Marlins?
They are playing. Hang on. Hang on. One moment, please.
Oh
no,
they
don't. They don't play till Friday.
The Mets Braves game got postponed for weather.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They'll play the Royals and the Mets again.
The Royals, that's right.
So, I mean, Royals, we just talked about them, not a pushover. You'd have to. Oh, man. What's the Diamondback schedule look like?
The Diamondbacks have the Padres for the last 3.
Ooh. Oh, man.
It is in Arizona, though.
Yeah, that could really come down to the wire. This is probably stupid of me to say, but I'd rather the Braves and the Diamondbacks. I don't ever want to play in that stadium again.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the Braves are a better baseball team. I think the Braves pitching staff is better set up to win in a series.
Yes, absolutely. I think that if the Braves can find themselves in a playoff spot, I think they can make a deep run.
I mean, if you go just the sales, Sale Lopez 1-2 punch, like
Yeah, I mean, you got Max Fried. You can never count him out. I mean, I know
yeah,
he's been kind of like the Braves' Aaron Nola this year, that he's like
yeah,
looked really solid and then also got touched up a lot.
mm-hmm,
Spencer Schwellenbach, when
yeah,
he pitches against the Phillies, man, he's Chris Sale 2.0 from the right side.
yeah, he's something else. It does scare me. I keep getting flashbacks to that stupid warehouse of a stadium. Like, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'd rather face anybody than the Mets right now.
Yeah, I mean, they kicked our teeth in for 3 out of the 4 games.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Uh, I think I think this season's as much of a crapshoot in the playoffs as any other season we've seen. I mean, we've got some good teams, definitely in the Yankees. I don't have to run through them. We know who the good teams are.
Yeah,
And then you've got the feisty teams who are
yep.
just as viable to win. I mean,
Now, I hate to say it, but even as a fan, I don't have a lot of faith in the Phillies this year. The way they've been playing this back end of the season.
yeah, I'd be
Like,
lying if I said that didn't make me very cautious.
we look like the Yankees always look. We start off real hot, playing great baseball. We get a big enough lead that we can win the division, but the whole time until playoffs, it's just a crapshoot, and it has just been a crapshoot for the Phils. The offense isn't there. Our big name stars aren't showing up. Like, oh my God, our highlight reel from last night's game was Garrett Stubbs bunting.
Yeah,
Like, that's pathetic.
I mean, it was the hangover
It
game.
was the hangover game. I'll give them that. They were partying, having a good time. I don't know. I just I have that bad feeling in my gut this year.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why you can never count a team in or out until the very end.
Yeah. So what do you think? You think Braves pass D-backs? I think they do.
In my heart, I say yes. San Diego's rolling right now. Like,
Yeah, they're 9-1 in their last 10.
yeah, they are probably the last team that I would want to close my season out
Yes.
against.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It,
horrible.
like, I think the Diamondbacks play the Giants tonight and tomorrow. And I mean, even if you win there and then get swept
Yeah, you
by
should
the
still.
Padres, like you need to make, yeah, they play the,
They need to win these 2 games against the Giants. I think you can get at least one from the Padres, but they have
and they
Snell
got
now too, don't they?
the Giants.
No, the Padres.
No, the Giants have snow.
Do they?
Yeah,
Because he's having a crazy back half of the year as he normally does.
yeah. I mean, last night the Giants blew out the Diamondbacks 11-0. I mean, talk about demoralizing.
Yeah, that's especially trying to make a playoff run. You lose 11 zip. But I don't know. Phillies lost what 10-2 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah, 10-4.
Over and out.
Yep.
Yeah, not I was talking to my dad about this, and maybe it's just because of how incredible it was. I will never feel the same as I did in 2022 about
Yeah.
every single like Philly fans are normally delusional. I like to think of myself as a little bit more realistic. Every bone in my body in 2022 said we're winning the whole thing. Like
Really? Like
I
from what
just
point on?
the first wild card game.
Okay. I was gonna ask if you meant going into it because I remember
No, not
watching
going
that.
into it.
Okay, yeah, going into it, I thought we were gonna get swept.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna
I
get
was
curb
like, there's
stomped, and I
no
was just
way.
like, you know what? At least we made it, guys.
I was like, there is no way that this team
Yeah,
even wins a game against the Cardinals. And then
yeah.
as I was watching that game, I remember seeing the Juan Yepes home run in the seventh
Hmm.
to put them ahead, and I'm like, holy shit, that's the dagger.
Yeah,
Game's over. And then just the ninth inning run, I was like, this is
yeah.
something special.
Well, and it was just the style of baseball they played that year. They get behind like 4 runs, and then they just come back in like the eighth or
Yeah,
ninth inning. Like it was, it's not there this year for me. And maybe it's because we're supposed to be good. Maybe it's because we're supposed to be winning this. Like the expectations were here, so it's a lot easier to be like, well, is that really going to happen? But I don't know. As soon as that Cardinals series started, I was like, there's no way we don't win. Like, there's no way. With how Nolan Wheeler pitched, like it was just, I don't know. But I hope we do. I hope we do. I hope I'm wrong. I'm normally wrong. Unless I'm predicting Rhys Hoskins trades, then I'm right.
Yes. All right, you got anything else you want to add in this one?
I don't think I have any more closing arguments. I do want to say that I don't think the Dodgers will go far in the postseason this year because I don't think they don't have the pitching.
No, I agree. I think
they're not a playoff team.
If they go anywhere, it's going to be because they're hitting their way in.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know that they still have Yamamoto, who's ramping back up. They do have Jack Flaherty, who they traded for at the deadline, but it's like after that, I know Walker Buehler's had playoff pedigree in the past, but it's like this season has not been ideal.
No, he's been buns. But at the same time, Aaron Nola had a bad season last year, and he pitched his butt off in the postseason. So
yeah.
I mean, maybe but I just don't think the Dodgers are built. I think the Dodgers are built to be the best team in the league in the regular season, and I think that's the extent of what the Dodgers are built to be this year. Now, if they had a healthy Shohei pitching, maybe then I give them a little more.
If they had a healthy roster overall,
if they just don't have starting pitching, and that's where I think
this team a chug jug.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't even want to do this podcast anymore because of that. Same thing with the Yankees, though. No pitching.
Yeah, I mean, Cole was hurt a large majority of the year.
Didn't look good when he came back.
Yeah, some starts where he looked good, some starts where he looked terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pitching's so volatile.
Well, and especially when you're playing, like even the wild card teams, a 3-game series. I mean, you throw your 2 best guys, you win both of those games, it's over. Like,
yeah.
And even in a 5-game series, you only have to throw 3 pitchers. You throw 1-2-3, 1-2, and that's it. So I don't know. We'll see. That's why the Braves scare me so much going into it. Is just that 1-2. You just need 2 good pitchers. If you win every game that your 2 best pitchers throw, you win the World Series.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's what, you know what? I do want to talk about something because he pitched last night, and I hate Taijuan Walker, and I hate Taijuan Walker as much as the next guy, and it pisses me off that we're paying him that much money. But you know what doesn't matter? The 5th guy in the rotation. It doesn't matter. I hate, like, if you are good enough to go to the postseason, it does not matter who your 4th pitcher is. It does not matter who your 5th pitcher is. You only need 3 guys. You only throw 3 starting pitchers in the postseason. It doesn't matter. So I'm pissed off. I hate Taijuan Walker as much as everybody else. And we should be paying him that. We pay Taijuan Walker more than the Miami Marlins pay their whole team. That's horrible. But we're not going to see him. Like, it's okay. It's okay, guys. We're going to get through this. Taijuan Walker doesn't matter in about 3 days.
Yes, that's all. That is very true. Yeah, Taijuan Walker stands. You're all dead.
Yeah, like I hate the scheduled loss as much as anybody else, but like at the point that we're at, it's okay now. He's done. He don't have to see him anymore. We need a closer. Well, actually, we got a closer. Shout out Estevez.
Yeah. All right. I think that does it for this one. Be sure to check out previous episode if you didn't, where we went through and drafted our teams. Let us know how we did. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you are on Spotify, you can also like on Spotify and leave us a review.
And you can follow. Give us 5 stars, please. 5-star podcast only here.
Absolutely. And of course, for voting on the draft and as well as to stay up to date with recordings and postings and all things Canacorn, give us a follow at Canacorn Media on Instagram. And we will see you guys on the next one. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Have a good night.